What's up, everybody? This is Classic Black Dude, brought to you by your host, me, Clark Jones, a.k.a. Pod Strickland. On this show, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you care about what's happening with black people and how we really feel about things and not just what we say in public, this is the show for you to tune into. Interviews, we play games, and we really get in the inside stories of everything that's happening, and we get it from the perspective of funny people, from serious people, people that matter like politicians, and people who don't matter like comedians who I just love to talk to. You get to see the underbelly of everything happening in black culture. Make sure you subscribe to Classic Black Dude on all streaming platforms. This is your host, Clark Jones, a.k.a. Pod Strickland. Listen up, Classic Black Dude.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Waveform. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez Brownlee.
And I'm Andrew Manganelli.
And today on episode 9, we're going to open up our subscriber page and suggest some of the YouTube channels in our sub boxes that we both watch. Then we'll dive into the mechanical keyboard rabbit hole, which is exactly what this podcast is for. Then after that, we're finally going to talk about a topic that we've wanted to for a while. In fact, we had a video planned on this, but decided to hold off, and it's just a podcast topic. We're going to do a little Embargoes Explained segment, where we dive into what embargoes are in the tech world and the YouTube world, how they affect creators, how they affect the viewers. Then we'll follow all that up with a Q&A at the end. Let's get into it. All right. You ready for your last podcast as a technically not married man?
Yeah, I guess.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a great one.
All right, so quick recap from the last podcast episode, which was January. This is your flash, doesn't it? Yeah. Which was November 1st. Couple of videos since then. We can just sort of breeze through these.
Yeah.
One was LG G8X, ThinQ.
Yeah, there we go.
The full name. This one was just sort of a analysis of where I think folding phones are, because you saw the phone.
Yeah.
By itself, it's not that incredible or standout-ish in a way.
No.
But the crazy thing about it is it's $699, and it comes with that second screen.
Mm-hmm.
And this, to me, sort of proved that the easy take about foldables is wrong. I guess I think a lot about, like, what's the easiest take on something? Like, when foldables started coming out for the first time, the easy take was, oh, these are dumb, it's a gimmick, it won't last. But I think when you start to see a market slowly mature, you get more and more different options and different ways to differentiate themselves. You have Surface Neo and Surface Duo, and you have Galaxy Fold and Huawei Mate X, and suddenly there's different ways to make a folding screen and a folding phone and this Razer now. And I think G8X ThinQ, as horrible as that name is, was a pretty big point in proving foldables are coming. So that was the title.
Yeah, I think so. Also, there are some people who argue that if it has a hinge, it's not a foldable phone. It's still a phone that's folding.
It still folds.
The screen's not folding. We're never saying the screen is folding, but
so
I still count that as a folding phone.
Would you say technically we already had folding phones with flip phones then, since they had hinges too? They folded.
Sure. Okay, folding smartphones. Maybe we'll tidy it up to that a little
Folding
better.
smartphones, which is what I'm just calling foldables, but y'all know what I mean.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so then we had Beats Solo Pro. This one kind of came out of left field, and I wasn't really expecting to like a pair of Beats this much, but we got it out the box, and I just started casually listening to them, and then it turned into a flight with them, and another flight with them, and suddenly I like them a lot. So we reviewed them.
Yeah.
Have you listened to them yet or no? I guess not.
I didn't. I put them on. I didn't get to test them for a long time. I know one of your main critiques on it was on ear after a long time gets uncomfortable.
It's really true. The headphones we're wearing right now, the M50s, are like my first ever over-ear headphones that I've really liked a lot. And over-ear versus on-ear is the biggest noticeable thing about these headphones. Is they're like clamping like onto your actual ears, and that's like uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah,
so that's like the only reason I don't use them anymore.
I have to say, Beats, while a lot of people make fun of their quality and how it's like it looks good but doesn't always feel great, Beats always has great cushioning.
True.
They're like, it is very soft and very, very comfortable.
Honestly, the days of like Beats being the obviously trashy sounding headphones are kind of over. I think now you have Power Beats Pro, you have the new Solo Pros, you have the new Studio 3s, There's still some older headphones kind of sitting out there that have a weird sound signature, but like if you're buying a new pair of Beats since Apple bought them, they're doing a good job. So I'm hoping like they keep this trend up, and maybe Beats can be the headphones that combine great looks with great sound someday.
And big prices.
Big prices, yeah. Well,
that's probably always the main thing.
That's an Apple
not
thing.
Great about it, but
yeah, but that happened. So then we moved from that to another Pro pair of headphones. We reviewed the AirPods Pro. You guys already know about AirPods Pro. We've talked about them a lot, but the full review is out. I think the conclusion we've reached is these are pretty great, and they're going to sell a lot.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's surprised by that.
Do you think you'd get AirPods Pro if there was like an Android equivalent of them?
Yes. If I had an iPhone, I'd buy AirPods Pro in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer pretty much. What did we try? Razer sent us those new
Razer Hammerheads. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're much more like the old AirPods, which don't fit in my ear, which is a bit bummer. I actually like really wanted to use them, but they don't really fit in my ear. They don't have silicone tips.
Right.
But I do have to say, I tried them with video, and voices matched with video. Like there was no lag that I really noticed, which is really hard to find in a pair of Bluetooth for Android.
That's something I want to check out. So like everyone's making their own, totally wireless headphones now, and each of them has their own sort of differentiating thing about them.
Yeah.
So Google's Pixel Buds, the last year it was like, oh, you can do this translation with them. Apple made AirPods for the iPhone. We all know how that went. You have Surface headphones, Surface Buds now for the Surface products that came out. And like you see this going down the line. Razer comes out, they're making their Hammerheads earbuds. And the differentiator with those is super low latency because they're a gaming company and you want low latency wireless, and basically you want to be able to game while hearing everything in real time.
Yeah.
But really the problem with Bluetooth, like you said, is like you're just watching a video and like voices are delayed relative to what you're hearing. I feel like my brain just has sort of calibrated for that delay in a way.
I can't.
It's
sucks. So bad. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I hadn't, but I do notice a difference now when I go back to wired versus wireless. But yeah, that's I got to try those out. I feel like that might be an interesting perk of them. I kind of wonder.
I wish they had silicone tips. I'd probably just use them all
They're
the
still
time.
the hard tips.
They're still hard tips.
Okay.
The case is great. Oh, wait. The case is great, except that when you open it, your right headphone is on the left side and your left headphone's on the right side.
What?
I'm trying to think of why that would make sense,
What?
but it doesn't.
That doesn't.
I mean, that is like the most nitpicky thing possible. But
No, that's
I was
not
just
nitpicky.
like, I was
That's-
like, why?
I don't
makes
think-
no sense.
When you're taking it out of the case, there's no reason to reach across to... No, that's not nitpicky. That's just dumb.
No, yeah, it really. I was just trying to think like, oh, would my right hand reach across? And that no, because then it wants to.
Being your right ear. Yeah, I don't know. That's a strange quirk.
it's
But it
weird.
is one of the better cases. It's small.
Yeah.
It's USB Type-C. It fits in your pocket. But that is a weird tidbit about it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, we reviewed AirPods Pro, Beats Solo Pro, hoping for some more Pro products coming soon, but we took a little bit of a retro look back with one more video, which was iPhone 11 versus OG iPhone.
Yeah,
And I had a lot of fun just messing around with the old iPhone to see what it could
it
still
was.
do.
I've never held one before. That was my first time.
That was the second time I've ever held one.
Oh, yeah?
First time I ever even held an original iPhone was at the iPhone 10 event. I held Justine's for like a quick minute. And before that, I had a classmate with one way back in the day.
really?
I don't think I ever owned it. It was in high school. But that's the first time I really got to mess with it.
Yeah, it's a brick. It's a solid little phone, and it worked. We got 3 of them, and all 3 of them worked. That
Yeah.
was very surprising.
Yeah.
They're beat to hell, but
I got them on eBay, which was sort of a risk.
Always.
I gave up on the idea of getting a brand new in the box iPhone because you're going to pay a lot more for it, and you're also at the risk of probably getting scammed. You get like resealed boxes, and half of them probably already used. But I just went and just got a used couple of iPhones, and it was a lot of fun.
yeah. And me not updating my computer saved us on
It
that
did.
one because when we turned all of them on, they all said connect to iTunes, and we were like, oh man, iTunes isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Wait, I've been saying remind me tomorrow for the past year pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I still have iTunes. It worked.
It worked, and we got to set it up and boot into iOS 3.1.3. So if you want to watch that video, check it out. It's a fun one. it's surprising how much the iPhone still does, but also how similar it is in a lot of design ways to the new iPhone, just in what it can do. Also, the camera is hilarious.
Yeah,
it's really funny. No flash, no zoom, no
tap to focus.
No tap to focus.
We kept trying to take photos of you on the roof, and you were just a silhouette every time because
no tap to expose.
Yeah,
no selfie camera, no video mode, just a webcam.
Oh my! The slowest shutter in the world.
Shutter lag. It took me back to the days of when like removing shutter lag was like a huge deal for some Android phones. When you have like it would make like a fun noise when you had like zero shutter lag. Anyway, good times. All right, content we liked. I think you had a fun idea for this one.
Yeah, I think we were both kind of thinking if there was one video that really stood out and we couldn't think of it. So I decided let's tell the audience 3 channels each of us follow that the audience probably wouldn't suspect we did.
3 YouTube channels.
3 YouTube channels, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's hear it. Maybe I'll subscribe to these channels. Hit me.
Yeah, they're pretty niche, but we'll see. All right, my first one is, I don't know how much the audience knows, but I've, in the last couple of years, really loved taking up cooking. I recently got a smoker, and I've loved smoking stuff.
Smoking these meats?
Smoking these meats.
Nice.
Also, yeah, if no one's seen that video, please look up Mark Zuckerberg smoking these meats.
It'll be in the show notes.
It's incredible. Oh, yeah, we'll put that in the show notes. So smoking, super fun, takes a lot of time. It's one of those things you don't want to mess up because it takes like 12 hours. So I started looking up YouTube videos like you do with any issue you have in the world these days. Found this channel called T-Roy Cooks, and he's just the most wholesome, nice guy in the world with this backyard setup of like 10 different smokers. Makes these like
10 different smokers.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different ones.
He's like a reviewer of smoking meats.
He's
products?
more like, it's more like instructional video, but he has, different smokers, different size smokers. There's different ways to do it. I think the one he mainly uses is the one that I have.
His daily driver.
His daily driver. He makes just really simple, good videos, super informative. Every time I watch one, I have to make whatever I watch. This past Christmas, I bought an uncured ham and smoked it myself. Like,
that might be one of the allures of cooking channels that I think I underrate, is like when people follow instructions or DIY stuff, especially in the beauty community, I see this, is like the connection you have between teaching someone to do something and them successfully doing it for the first time is like really strong. And so, and like food, like, the Binging with Babish type of channel where like someone makes something successfully and you get to follow along and make it yourself. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just doing the ham. I did a brisket this weekend that turned out incredible. And like, this is just stuff that you normally have to go down south to get some good barbecue or something. And now I can do it in my backyard. And because of this guy, it's just entertaining. And I watch it and I like study it. It's weird to say I'm like studying how to cook from him, but I am. All right. So there's one rant on one channel, T-Roy Cooks. My next one, I've mentioned before, I started climbing this year, which I've really enjoyed. There's a channel called Bouldering Bobat. I'm kind of embarrassed. I still don't know what Bobat means. They're from the UK, so there's a lot of English slang that I just have absolutely no clue what they're saying.
Nice.
But it's fun to listen to for some reason. Basically, it's a really good mix of people who are really, really talented at climbing, but it's also just this group of guys who are having a really fun time and pandering or making fun of each other and just having a good time while doing a bunch of really sick climbing. And the guy who edits all of it, Omar, has a great music playlist as well. So all the music's super on point. You probably won't care about the climbing at all, but maybe I'll show you some of their music. I think it's all royalty free too if they're doing it. So
I'm super down for that.
All right. And then last one I have, I think I may have mentioned once, Jomboy Media.
JOM.
Yeah, JOMBOY Media. He's really like blown up the last couple months. He mostly does baseball commentary videos, but like,
this one.
Yeah, really fun, really niche little plays in baseball. They're usually like 2 minutes long. One of them was about this pitcher who, whenever he makes an error, he like throws up on the mound and all sorts of just like little really funny things, but he's absolutely hilarious. I don't watch baseball. Now that baseball's over, he's starting to do some like hockey, which I really, really like. And then every Friday he does something called Fun Sport Friday, which is just the most crazy sports ever, and he just commentates on them. I just showed you one before this.
Yeah.
Some sport in Asia where they play on horses, and you throw a dead goat carcass into like a giant hole.
Nice.
So yeah.
My favorite part of that
fun.
was like they're on horseback and they're like grabbing this literal carcass and like throwing it around, and the best part is they were like filming it in like 4K and there's like drones crossing in front of the shot to get like the aerial view. That was pretty inspiring.
Meanwhile, using that high-tech dead goat carcass on the ground.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah. So
all right.
He's hilarious. He's also in New Jersey. If you ever wanted to come on and tell us a little bit about his setup and how he pumps videos out a lot.
Okay.
Like normally you see someone upload, it's one video. He uploads, there'll be like 5 videos.
He could be in this building. We wouldn't even know.
He could be.
Because he doesn't show his face, right?
No, he does show us. He has a podcast also. He's a big Yankees fan, so he has a podcast about the Yankees that I think he live streams or records, but I mostly just watch his quick commentary videos. They're super funny.
All right. So I've got 3 channels here.
Mm-hmm.
One of them we've talked about, and you already know about it, but I'm subscribed to a certain car reviewer who reviews every car as if it's a 90s sedan that you're thinking about buying off the lot. And that is Doug DeMuro. And he just has a certain way of talking about every single car as if you've never heard of it, but it might actually be worth buying. So I've watched his videos for a while.
He's super entertaining.
They're amazing. And he's also pretty knowledgeable about cars. Like it takes a lot to be,
he has to be. It's crazy.
You can't just be entertaining and then not know anything about cars, and then you won't learn much from the video. I legitimately learn a lot about like the different heritages of different cars compared to each other and what's actually unique about certain cars, because sometimes you look at a supercar and you're like, well, I figured they all have aero like that. And you're like, actually, no, this is like a super custom, bespoke way of doing it. So fascinating stuff. I love Doug DeMuro's channel.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Another one that I've watched a lot, especially this year, Caleb City.
Okay.
He does a lot of sketches and a lot of referential stuff, which references a lot of anime that I don't actually know about, but I love the style of the sketches anyway. He posts them on Twitter and YouTube, and you can watch them anywhere. But one of my favorites was, I think it's called "If Bugs All Like Introduce Themselves."
I think I know. Wait. Sorry. Go on.
He starts as like, I'm a carpenter bee. I'm a hard worker. I like to, make like holes in wood, and like it goes around the circle with different bugs introducing themselves. And I guess I'm just spoiling the punchline, but it ends with a wasp, and it's like, I'm a wasp. I just like hurting people. And the sketch like timing and the editing, it's all really funny. So highly recommended.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's
Another one is a Superhuman Interview. I'll show you that one later.
Okay,
I'll put it in the show notes too, because that's pretty great. Last one is a man in, what country is he in? He seems like he bounces back and forth. I'll just say a man in Europe who reviews all the most niche stuff about electric cars, mainly Tesla, but also in his own unique way.
Okay.
His name is Bjorn Nyland. Bjorn, B-J-O-R-N.
That sounds very Scandinavian.
Yes, and a lot of cold weather, driving, about measuring the efficiency of a Tesla when the battery gets below 0, and like doing range tests. I think he did a range test when the new Model S came out. He had a friend with the new long range with 373 miles, and he said, okay, let's try it, and just went for 370 miles and see how long it would go. Highly recommended. If you're into any of the niche Tesla stuff, which I know some people listening probably are at this point, you're welcome. Check out Bjorn Nyland's channel. They're great.
Cool. So sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it for the channel.
I was just going to say how I... for the audience out there, I tried to get Marquez to talk about something other than Tesla by 3 channels you wouldn't guess, and there you go. 2 of them basically talk about Tesla.
Still managed to work it in. That's just the way I go here. On Waveform. I have a nice little, maybe a segue of another like thing that I found, I guess, online that I really liked this week. I am now using full-time a mechanical keyboard. And this is only news because like I've been using computers for 12 to 15 years and never once stayed with a mechanical keyboard. I've had laptops, I've had other like low profile keyboards, I've had chiclet style keyboards, and then the last couple of years with Macs I've just had chiclet style like desktop keyboards. and I don't know what even prompted me. Oh, you know what it was?
I remember, yeah.
I got sent a mechanical keyboard, and it's specifically for PCs. In fact, the company that sent it is called Glorious PC Gaming Race or something like that.
Yeah.
And the keyboard was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was typing on it. I was like, these switches are great. It's nice and compact. It's even like cool looking on my desk. But a couple things about it weren't quite right. It was a wired keyboard, and that's common, but I was so used to wireless and not having the clutter. And it was a PC keyboard, so it had a Windows button, and it didn't have, obviously, the command and the option buttons. Yeah. So it wouldn't exactly line up. It didn't work. The MIDI controls didn't work for the Mac. There is no brightness up and down. So I couldn't quite get myself to switch to it, but I couldn't get over how much I liked that keyboard. So I went back on this little quest of looking through mechanical keyboards for Mac. I had made a few purchases in the past. I had a DOS keyboard, but I never quite settled on one. And then, weirdly, I found the Keychron K2.
Okay.
I don't know how to say that. Keychron.
I'd never heard of them until you got one.
Yeah, I mean, I bought one online, and the day after I got it in the mail, I got an email from them saying, hey, would you like us to send you one? Which is pretty funny timing. But yeah, I got it in the mail, and it is pretty much everything that I'd sort of wanted, and that's why I got it. It's wireless, it's low profile, has arrow keys, has Mac keys, has function keys, and it's got the brown switches that I liked, and it's pretty sweet. Pretty nice. So
would you call that low profile?
Well, I mean, no.
Okay. I mean, it's hard when you're comparing it to the chiclet style like iMac keyboards that they send with you.
Right.
It looks gigantic.
Yeah, so
I guess
if you want low, like actually low profile, meaning on your desk, low key travel, this is not that at all.
No, not one bit.
But the footprint of it is actually pretty small. I didn't get the one with the number pad. All the tweets and comments are like, what? I love number pads. Why didn't you get one? I don't know. I had a number pad. I used it sometimes for I have like a financial document I type in sometimes. But other than that, I could go without the number pad.
Yeah, for sure.
So I got the one with arrow keys and no number pad. And I'm a fan so far. But you've been in this gaming world for so long that you know way more about mechanical keyboards than I do.
Yeah. I'd say I've used them for a long time. I don't know how much more. I've never gone into the deep nitty gritty of it, but I've definitely used them for a while.
So you see my setup now. Am I missing anything right now? All right, so here's my setup right now. It's the Keychron K2. You can see it. It's got an aluminum frame, brown switches, and I think they're Gateron brown instead of
Is that
Cherry
I know
MX brown.
The Glorious one they sent before were Gateron.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they really didn't feel that much different. There's probably some mechanical keyboard people out there like, you think Gaterons feel the same as Cherry? So this is all very new for us.
Yeah, to me they do. So yeah, the brown switches. And then I took some other keys from the Glorious PC Gaming Race keyboard. I took the letter keys and the escape key and the arrow keys from that keyboard. So I already have, quote, custom keycaps.
Oh,
so I feel like I'm in that world right now.
Okay.
It's wireless. It's got Bluetooth. It's got RGB. But I don't really care about that. It's like I just could go with white backlight and that's fine. Is that... Am I set?
You're further along than I've ever been.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've tried a bunch of different switches. The first mechanical I ever got was, I think, some sort of Cooler Master, probably one of the cheapest ones they sell, and it was Browns, and I loved it. Just being able to really feel when you're pressing the key when you're playing game, I think is the main reason people really like mechanical keyboards. Wait,
let me bring this over.
Okay. I think we should have a whole mess of them and do a little keyboard ASMR, but we'll do. So what are these? These are Browns?
These are Browns. They sound... Here, I'll just point the mic at it.
All right, so those are Browns.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, they definitely have a clank to them. They're very tactile. You can feel it. They're not the most tactile.
Here's what I learned, actually, about these. So the actual switch is not that loud, but just the way I type with a pretty good amount of force, the sound you're hearing is actually the key cap colliding with the base of the keyboard. So if I had, I guess, something like a blue switch where it was really tactile, you'd hear 2 clicks every time I typed.
We have a blue. We can bring it over. Let's do it right now.
All right.
Hold on. I'm just gonna go grab a bunch of keyboards and we'll.
This is turning into what I thought it would.
This is gonna be a total mess, but
it's perfect. Okay, here it is.
Yes.
This is the DOS keyboard you brought over with the blue switches.
Yeah, can we put your browns next to it?
Yeah.
I want to hear blues next to browns.
So this DOS keyboard with blue is like the first mechanical keyboard I ever tried for Mac specifically.
Okay.
It's like the first result on Amazon when you search for it. This is what the blues are.
Okay, cool. Now go to brown. So, like,
that to me is like a pretty subtle difference when I'm actually typing.
I feel like it's a subtle difference when you're just like, what you mean feel wise?
Yeah.
Okay.
And feel and sound. Like I notice the little clickierness of the blues.
There's way more of that, like, that click.
It's more
click with the blue.
The blue is more satisfyingly clicky, but to me a little too loud.
It's too much for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like blues, have your own office if you're ever buying blue switches. I think also if you're getting Razer, I think they call them green switches. I'm pretty sure it's very similar, but they are definitely the loudest. Browns are a nice in between of like blues and reds. I think it offers a little more tactile feedback, a little louder than red, but a little quieter than blue. I think it's a really good in between. The reason I switched so I originally had browns and then I went to reds. The reason I switched is because I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment and my fiance, our bedroom was right on the other side of the wall from my computer.
Not to keep her awake.
So yeah, she's a teacher. She wakes up super early in the morning. So browns were pretty loud. So I switched to reds because they're quieter. Actually wound up loving them. Not just at first it felt a little mushy, but the noise is quieter. And on top of that, people talk about like fatigue, which I hate saying fatigue while I'm playing games. But if you're at the computer for a really long time, typing for a really long time,
it's real.
Having a little less like feedback when you're pressing does get nice.
Interesting. Okay.
So I switched to reds. I absolutely love them. Then SteelSeries, actually, they found out I played games from the podcast, so they sent a couple things over, and they sent a keyboard. I wasn't really that excited about it because, as far as I know, it's some sort of proprietary switches that have something to do with you can set each switch to how far down you press it to activate it, which is cool, but I don't see a need for that in how I play games. And then I started using it and I really loved it. It's a little mushier, but I don't know why. It feels really smooth. So I'm going to show you a little.
It?
Yeah, we're going to do some more.
Let's hear it.
Ooh.
Coming in hot. That's pretty solid. You know, it's interesting what you were saying about fatigue because I started with red switches and I found that because they were a little bit mushier, I was pressing like all the way down every time and like lifting all the way up. And the more I typed, the more fatiguing that actually was.
Okay.
Where the clickier ones, because I didn't have to push down as much and reach up as much, it was less fatiguing to type a lot.
You know when you hit the button, so you're not worried that you're missing the button.
Right. I was typing more deliberately with the reds, and I was typing more like touch typing with the others.
Okay. I mean, that's a good point. It might just be getting used to something. I have to say, when I first switched to reds, the other thing that kind of throws me off typing-wise is at work, I use a chiclet style.
Yeah.
Just like during the day, first of all, if all four of us were using mechanical keyboards in here, you would just have a headache all day. Like the ibuprofen we would take in here would be astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
So chiclet style for everyone in a workplace is really nice. I've gotten really used to it. So then going back and having this like more raised keyboard, but just playing games was so much better on it. I didn't have to type that much in games. Now I'm playing a game where I type a little more in, so switching to this one, I've gotten more used to it, and I would claim even mushier, but I've wound up really liking that, and I feel like once you get used to it, you're not, like you said, slamming on keys to make sure it gets pressed. All right, so I'm going to do that one before we just used. It was a Asus ROG, I forget the name, I'm sorry, but they were red keycaps. The one I was using at home was a HyperX something, TKL, the 10 keyless ones. I really like that form factor. TKL is great. You lose your numpad, you still have your arrow keys, you still have your home, page up, page down, print screen buttons.
Do you use print screen?
I use print screen. That's for whatever reason. This new SteelSeries keyboard that I got that I'm going to let you listen to in a second does not have the print screen button. I know I can remap it, but it's like the one thing I dislike about. Oh, and it doesn't have a braided cable.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
I'm kind of bummed about that. But otherwise, I love this keyboard for some reason. So let's take a listen real quick.
I'm ready. That does sound really satisfying.
It sounds. I want you to try this actually. It's gonna feel really weird after blues and browns, but I don't know. Even my fiance tried it and she's like, "Oh, these feel really mushy." And I was like, "I'm so proud you used that word." Like that's.
I don't mind them.
Yeah.
I like them more than reds. I think reds were. I initially picked red literally because I was like, I like red. Red's a good color. Let's try red.
It's a good color that I don't ever see the actual color too.
Yeah,
but
This is kind of nice. Red turns out to be my least favorite keycap.
Really smooth, right?
Yeah, and it's got nice keys. Like they seem pretty durable.
There's something about it, just like it just feels really smooth when I'm typing or playing a game, and because of that, I've really grown to like it. I'm sure there's a lot of mechanical keyboard buffs out there who do some really, really cool stuff that are just furious.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think this is the cool part about it.
Look, I got into this world, and like every time this happens, every video we make, every single time I dive into like a little bit of a new topic, immediately after my inbox is filled with, "Don't forget about this," or "Wait till you find out about this." So like, I'll interview a CEO, and then my inbox has 5 more requests to interview their CEOs. I'll talk about a PC case, and then my inbox is filled with PC cases. It makes sense. It's just like it's a little late. I can't like include the things in the video. But sure enough, I tweet about or I share this new mechanical keyboard I like, and the world I'm exposed to is like, YouTube channels dedicated to hour-long live builds of making a keyboard from scratch with like every single switch and key and like custom artisan keys and different material choices and all the Panda keys and all the other key switches I didn't know about. Like this world is awesome. I'm super new to it, but I was exposed to a whole lot and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think one of the really crazy things is like custom keycaps, and not just like custom keycaps for everything, but they make these like artisan single keycaps that people usually use for like the F keys or the escape key. And
I have this custom escape key right now that just says ascend. Yeah. But I have
you seen the ones that they're like cheeseburgers or like Pokemon? I saw a Gengar one that was insane.
Someone who makes one of those has promised to make an MKBHD logo escape key.
That's so cool.
And I can't wait.
It's gonna be really cool. Yeah. Just like diving into YouTube is pretty crazy how people make all these, and it's cool because you can make it literally exactly how you want to if you get into that, which is going really deep. I know there's one YouTube channel called Ski with Pete who's pretty local, and he does live streams of just building, and he has a pretty good following. Yeah, it's really cool. I wish I could get into it. I know it's a time and money sink that I don't think I'm ready for, so right now I'll just use my gaming keyboards, I guess, but one day I hope I have some times. Maybe when I get old enough, instead of doing model trains, I'll do mechanical keyboards. Is that going to be the tech model trains?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Yeah. Being just building your own keyboard from scratch in your woodshed in your backyard. Yeah, I mean it wouldn't be wooden probably, hopefully, but that sounds like a pretty sweet hobby.
You heard it here first. When Marquez and I are retired, we're going to be building mechanical keyboards from wood in the retirement home.
It'll be great. So yeah, I'm in this world now. I'm happy to be a part of it, and feel free to send me all kinds of other custom mechanical keyboard stuff. This is something that will probably end up in a Dope Tech episode in the near future. All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about our main topic, which is embargoes explained. This episode of Waveformer is brought to you by Cash App, the #1 finance app in the App Store. You probably know Cash App is the easiest way to send money to your friends, but Cash App does way more than that. Cash App also comes with the Cash Card, a free debit card that comes with boosts, which are kind of like instant rewards for shopping at the places you already love. You can get discounts off your entire purchase at places like DoorDash, Whole Foods, Target, and way more. Cash App is also the easiest way to try and grow your money with their new investing feature. So unlike investing tools that force you to buy entire shares of stock, Cash App lets you instantly invest as little or as much as you want. This way you can still own a piece of any stock with just $1. Brokerage services are provided by Cash App Investing, a subsidiary of Square and member SIPC. I'm also excited to be working with Cash App to support Team Trees. So we've talked about the amazing Team Trees in a past episode, and when you sign up for Cash App and use the promo code WAVEFORM, not only do you instantly receive $10, but Cash App will also donate $10, or the equivalent of 10 trees, to the Arbor Day Foundation /Team Trees, whose goal is to plant 20 million trees around the globe by January 1st, 2020. $10 for you, 10 trees for Earth. Win-win. So don't forget promo code WAVEFORM when you download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play today. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by SimpliSafe. There are over 2 million burglaries reported every year, and if you do the math, that comes out to a burglary every 13 seconds or so. Incredibly, studies have shown that only around 10% of break-ins are planned beforehand. The rest of them are spur-of-the-moment crimes of opportunity, or in other words, completely random. And according to the FBI, the average loss in a burglary is a tad over $2,000. That can be very hard to recover from. But do you want to hear a statistic even stranger than all of those? Only 1 in 5 homes actually has some sort of home security. Maybe that's because most companies don't always make it easy to protect yourself. Not everyone is a tech head that can equip their own homes with security cameras and sensors, and not everyone can afford to have expensive companies come in and install intricate systems. That's where SimpliSafe comes in. SimpliSafe protects your whole home, every window, every room, every door, with 24/7 monitoring for just a fraction of the cost. And don't worry about false alarms or scary notifications because your self-installed camera caught a glimpse of a tree moving outside. SimpliSafe offers video verification to make sure you're safe when you need to be. It's designed to blend right into your home or rental. No wires, no drilling, no hassle. In fact, the setup is so easy, most people are usually set up and protected in under an hour. It's easy to order, and there's no contract, hidden fees, or fine print. SimpliSafe has won a ton of awards from CNET and Wirecutter, and prices are always fair and honest. Around-the-clock monitoring is just $15 a month. So visit simplisafe.com/wave and get your free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. You've got nothing to lose. Go now and be sure to go to simply, S-I-M-P-L-I, safe.com/wave. So they know we sent you. That's simplisafe.com/wave. All right, welcome back. Welcome to Embargoes Explained. This is the rabbit hole we've all been waiting to go down.
Yeah.
So have you ever wondered why sometimes you log onto YouTube and suddenly there's 8 videos right at the top of your sub box all about the same new product? You ever wondered why that happens? Have you ever left a comment saying, did you guys plan this? Have you ever tweeted at the creator asking if this was a collab, even though it really wasn't? This is the result of an embargo. Mm-hmm. What is an embargo? Well, there's a lot of different versions. We're going to talk about sort of the way it works in the tech world because it's sort of a curious way it works and maybe get in the weeds about it. But this happens in other industries, other product industries. Mm-hmm. Generally, NDAs are very common. But let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'll just start with what is an embargo, and we can go from there.
Sure.
So an embargo is an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement with an expiration date and time. That's basically what it comes down to. So you might be a tech company and you go, hey, we have this new product and we'd really like to show the world, but we don't want any of our competitors to know about it. So we're going to make people who see it ahead of time sign a non-disclosure agreement, which means they can't share anything about this. Mm-hmm. But eventually, when the product comes out, they'll be able to talk about it. So we'll have it expire at noon on Wednesday, and then they can talk about it.
Yeah.
That's basically what an embargo is. The embargo is that date and time. What happens a lot in the tech world is a company will use it basically as a tool for press. They want to brief you and show you their new product before it comes out. This is sort of where the meme comes from. Hi, my name is Marquez, and I've been using this for a month. Of where they'll show you the tech product. They want to get it all out there, but they want it to be a secret so they can launch it first, and then anyone who's seen it beforehand can talk about what they've seen. Mm-hmm. So you might see a bunch of people go on stage for an event. I'm going to try to do this without talking specifically about companies, and we'll see how far I get. But you might see a bunch of people talking on stage about, let's say, a new smartphone that's coming out. And wow, all of this is new information because it totally didn't leak. That's amazing. The event ends, and then boom, the embargo, which is perfectly timed to when the event's supposed to end, will drop. And then everyone who's seen it beforehand, which is your 6 favorite tech YouTubers or your 16 favorite tech YouTubers, will all publish their videos at once. This tends to happen because when the embargo expires, it's generally in your best interest. If you're press or a YouTuber who has sort of created a piece around it, it's generally in your best interest to just publish right at the embargo.
Yeah.
You don't have to. That's the thing. You don't have to. And this has been a case a couple times where a product will come out and our video is not quite ready yet, or there's 1 or 2 other things we want to include in it. And so I won't publish right at the embargo, but maybe wait a couple hours or a day or two, finish the video, and then publish it. But that's generally what happens. That's why it might seem like notification spam or your sub feed getting taken over by random products some days, is because, their companies are really smart about when to make their embargo and then who to share it with.
Yeah, they wanted to add on to the hype. A lot of times you see it after events, like you said. So what's more exciting than to have the event? Everyone gets excited for the event, which are a lot less exciting, I feel like, now, because we see the leaks. Yeah, leaks have kind of ruined that. But they ultimately want the event to roll out. You get your first look from the event, and then right after, all of your favorite creators are posting videos. So you're probably going to watch 3 or 4 videos on the same product again right after.
It's possible, yeah.
It's a good way to add some hype, along with, just keeping it secret beforehand.
Yeah. There's also different ways that different companies will use embargoes, and they'll also make like sort of different types of embargoes. And it's a really hazy world because some companies do it way better than others. And when I say better, I mean they're just more clear about it. But here's an example. A no-name example.
Yeah.
A company is coming out with a new, we'll just say phone. It's a new smartphone, and they know when their launch date is going to be. It's going to be December 1st, right?
Yep.
And they want to share this with a bunch of YouTubers a week beforehand. They want to share the product with them so that they can take videos of it, make their first impressions. But they're not allowed to review the phone until a second embargo on December 5th.
Yeah.
So now you're the YouTuber, and you just, you've gotten the product, you've seen it, you've got your first impressions of it, and they may even send you home with it, but you have an NDA to not talk about it until the 1st, and an NDA to not review it until the 5th. On the 1st, do you publish your first impressions, or do you just keep waiting because you already are basically reviewing it for the 5th? That's a decision that a lot of people in a lot of different states in their YouTube channels have to make. And usually the answer, which is a business decision, is both.
Yeah.
Just do both. Because when the phone gets announced on the 1st, that's like the hottest day to talk about a new product.
Yeah.
That's when everything's coming out. That's when everyone's looking it up. Oh my God, this is new. Here's my new information about it. And then it sort of dies down. And then it goes on sale a week later. And everyone's sort of gotten their information from the impressions but haven't seen reviews. That's when a review will come in, but it'll sort of be late. So people are already looking at what they want to buy.
Sometimes it's weird. I feel like you usually see reviews scheduled around the actual, because we all know like release dates are generally a week or two after the launch event.
Yeah.
It's always better, to me at least, if the review embargo is before the actual order date. It just seems to make the most sense. Like, people want to see an actual review and know about the product, not just see it before they make an order. So it's weird when...
It's a sort of a clever move by the company to make that second embargo, because they're making a second wave of press, right?
Yes.
So if they just said the embargo date to talk about the phone at all is the 1st, then everyone who'd been using it for a week would review it on the 1st, pretty much. That's like generally how it would go. But by creating this second embargo of like, you can't, but they'll have some language like you can't evaluate it until the 5th. You can't do any comparisons until the 5th, but you can give the specs and the fact sheet and what's actually being talked about on stage. So yeah, it'll be like, well, okay, I'll talk about everything on the 1st, but then I still want to review the phone. So I'm going to talk about it again on the 5th. or sometime after that, and it becomes like a tool for the press to use. And I've seen products with 3 embargoes, which is hilarious. But it was a camera embargo.
Okay.
It was like a second feature
embargo. I don't even
embargo.
remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's sort of a confusing spot to be put in sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing, is a lot of them are super confusing. I think we had one that was, you're allowed to do like your unboxing and show the phone off, but you're not allowed to show any of the new features unless you took the film of it at the event.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
We're going so nitty gritty into that.
Yeah.
It's like you have to expect someone's going to just accidentally mess that.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother thing. So, yes.
Sorry, I just got
no. Yeah, early. We can talk about that. So, yes. So, like, if that example that's a thing where, like, you have a product, there's a hands-on impressions area at the event. Oh, okay, great. You can take as much footage as you want there. You can review it there for all you want to, but, like, I don't know how good that review will be.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of them when they do those hands-on places, your embargo is basically lifted the minute you get there, right? So we've seen I've seen Austin and his team editing on the street in New York.
Yep.
It's insane how fast they get some of their stuff out. But yeah, so that causes a little bit of chaos. Sorry to interrupt you. I just like...
that just means people are trying to, as soon as they're allowed to get some footage of something, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So that happens immediately, and this I'll talk about Apple because I think that's a pretty classic version of this. But yeah, in this scenario, like, you are allowed to do whatever you want with the device on the hands-on area, and then also we will give you a device that you can leave with, but you cannot use that device to review until a second date in the future, which means they, may have different software on it. They may have different, expectations for how close that is to the final retail product. That's the retail box, all these other things. I guess generally it should be pretty clear, ideally, but we'll go to the second point, which is that people mess it up all the time, and seems like there's no real repercussion for it. I've been pretty good about I'm probably jinxing myself, but I've been pretty good about not breaking embargoes on anything for a while, because there's no great reason to. If you want to leak something, like, now you're a leaker. Great. Yeah. Congrats. So that's sort of where we're at, is like people do mess it up, and it's sort of a shrug, maybe a slap on the wrist. I don't really know what happens. There's probably something in inbox, but it just happens. There's a lot of things to take account of.
Yeah, I think I can think of one. I won't name what it was, but we accidentally put something in a video that wasn't the main subject of the video that was under embargo. Very few people caught it. I think it wound up the next day coming out of embargo.
Okay.
Do you remember what it was?
Oh, I don't remember what it was, but I think I'm remembering what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where, the next day, the
next day we just got an email that said, like, hey, you're allowed to talk about this, and blah, blah, blah. I think they mentioned that the video and that they liked it.
I think I found that. Yeah, I think I remember this. So I found out that the embargo had dropped the next day, and I realized that the product appeared in a video when they emailed me saying thanks for the shout out, and I like scrolled back up and like read the date again, and I was like, wait, this was early, but they thanked me. That's weird. And then they were like, yeah, feel free to review it or whatever. But that was pretty funny.
For anyone wondering, it wasn't very interesting.
It wasn't like a phone or something.
It's just the only thing I can think of, that we accidentally showed previously. Yeah. Sometimes it gets to the point where we get packages all the time. It's hard to keep, and a lot of the times they come from PR companies who don't put the embargo in there. They'll shoot it in an email, but our email is destroyed every single day. So it gets tough. And I'd say every time somebody comes over to collab with us, or we're just trying to shoot like an Instagram story or something, you do this solid check of like, wait a minute, look around the room.
Is there anything in the frame that I can't?
Yeah. Can people see this? No? Yes?
Got to reshoot that.
Maybe
the
move that out of the way.
Yeah. Should I blur that? Yeah. It's true. Yeah, we sort of have a mini procedure now where every time a new product comes in and we all sort of do the rounds of checking it out, we all always have to go, wait, can we share this?
Yeah.
Let's just make sure. And then we'll usually come up with a date or a yes or a no. Yeah, I think a lot of people wonder about the phone stuff, because that's sort of where the meme was born, of like, I've been using this for a while. Here's what I think of it. The question is like, well, what do you mean? How have you been using it for a while? Mm-hmm. That's something that companies have found that it makes a lot of sense for them to do, is they will either give you like a smartphone, for example. So they'll give you the smartphone for the week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks leading up to launch. And so by the time the phone actually launches, I don't have just my impressions. I can like tell you how good the battery life is, how good the camera is, how good it compares. I can review this phone on day one. So they'll have an embargo, and they'll tell you, once the event's over, you can publish whatever, or at this exact time, the embargo will lift. And you also don't know who else is beholden to the same embargo as you. You always just find out when it lifts.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool, this other website and these 2 other YouTubers also had the same product. Cool. And I've actually seen that. This is just a PSA for YouTubers. I've seen that get used against people in a sort of a weird way. So one was for, oh wow, should I just talk about Dyson? I'll just talk about Dyson. So the Dyson integration, which was, maybe you forgot about it by now, but a while back there was a certain Dyson vacuum that seemed like every tech YouTuber made a video about, but they reached out to everyone individually.
Yeah. And
I only found out about this by putting the pieces together because of what I watched. But they reached out to me saying, hey, we're Dyson. We have this sweet new vacuum. Here's our budget. Would you like to make a whole video about it? And it's not out yet, so there's an embargo and a time to do that. And I was like, oh, well, I like their vacuum, but, a whole video about a vacuum, not really interested.
Yeah, we brainstormed a little bit, but for us, we couldn't think of a good way to put it in.
Yeah, sometimes there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like, there are
Linus
genuinely
did it,
creative...
and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it like showed a ton of awesome stuff about his studio, and he still put the vacuum in, and it was a great video.
Exactly. So there are ways to do it. But at the time, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do a whole video about this vacuum, so thanks, but no thanks. And they're like, okay, cool. But I marked that date and time on my calendar so that I could see like
who did
if anyone else wrote an article about this vacuum or whatever. And sure enough, the day of that like post to come up, I saw like 2 or 3 other videos at the same time as in my calendar, and then like 2 hours later, I saw 2 or 3 more videos, and then 2 hours later, I saw 2 or 3 more videos. And it sort of like trickled all day. And I was like, there's no way this is on purpose. And it also happens to happen on the exact hour every time, which basically leads me to believe, and maybe Dyson, correct me if I'm wrong, but they just gave everyone privately a bunch of different embargoes, and everyone signed those contracts, and everyone was not allowed to publish. Even though it didn't matter, the product was already out, they sort of used this as a press tool to sort of extend that press cycle. They rode the wave a little extra longer than usual because they had videos coming out all day instead of just in the morning.
It worked perfectly.
And it worked great.
It's literally all Twitter could talk about. I loved every minute of it. It just
was everywhere.
Twitter was hilarious that day, just about wondering who the new Dyson video is going to come out for. And we bought the vacuum.
Yep. I love the vacuum. Yeah. I bought one for the studio, and I bought one for at home. Not because of the videos, but because I like the Dyson vacuum anyway. This is turning into great promo for Dyson.
Yeah.
But yes, I did enjoy seeing all those videos. But it was fascinating because I know if I had signed that contract and I had a video waiting to go live at a certain time, I would have gone live at that time, and it would have been somewhere in the first half, but like in the middle of like all of this unexpected chaos. It sort of brings me back to the early days of YouTube where like big brands like, I don't know if Burger King ever did it, but like, one of those huge brands would do like a burger video with like this was back when you could do a video with like the 5 biggest YouTubers at once and have the budget for it. And it would be like, whoa, holy crap. Shane Dawson, Fred, Ray William Johnson, they all did a video about this burger at the same time. That's crazy. That was like a true YouTube takeover. But now you can sort of do like mini takeovers. So fun times. I think my ideal embargo, if I'm doing a tech product, if anyone's listening, is to just make it as clear as possible. And that's usually, they're pretty good at it. Like when you read through the contract, it's like, hey, don't talk about it till this date. Sure, cool, got it. And I'm sure we'll have some Q&As about the more specifics of it. But like when you get into these weird like half embargoes or 2 different embargoes for the same product, that's when it gets a little weird, and you got to draw the lines in the sand a little deeper. But that's just me.
I'd say ideally, review embargo should always be before the order date.
Oh yeah,
for the benefit of consumers who who trust reviewers or even just want to gauge their own interest based on full reviews, not unboxings. Like, listen, unboxings are awesome. A lot of times you get to see, I don't get the feeling of an iPhone from an iPhone commercial because it's perfectly shot in all these amazing different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I want to see a couple people actually having hands-on of an iPhone.
Yeah.
So unboxings have their purpose. They're great to come out on the day of launch events so you can see what other people think of it super initially. But a full review embargo should always come out before an order date, because I don't want to not place an order because I don't know what the review's like. See the review, love it, and then realize I'm 4 weeks back ordered because I had to wait one more day before their embargo came out.
So here's another thing to consider. Mm-hmm. How long the reviewer has had the product before the embargo and what video ends up getting made. This is something that's happened with, like, I'll talk about AirPods because that's also a pretty well-known product. But like when you guys saw the AirPods video came out, that was an embargo. There were a couple other videos at that exact time. You guys probably also saw those. But when you have a product like that you've had for 12 hours, you can't review it in 12 hours. You have to test the battery life and the sound and all these other things. I mean, maybe you can review it in 12 hours, but how good would it really be? Like, that's not up to the standard that a lot of us hold ourselves to. So, yeah, you sort of get a feeling of like, well, I know where everyone else is at. Everyone else got this at roughly the same time as me, probably, unless you're Calvin Harris and you just have the Mac Pro sitting in your studio right now. So you can kind of get a judge for like, well, we've all been using it for the same amount of time, but 3 of us reviewed it and the other 3 have a first impressions because we know we have to test it a little more. That always gets kind of fun. But yeah, we generally would like to have the product at least a week. I don't know. A smartphone, you got to use a week, right?
Yeah, I think a week is pretty much the minimum, but
I could review a smartphone in 5-6 days, I think is my feeling, because I get so calibrated with smartphones.
Within I mean, you've been doing it. A lot of people have been doing it for a long time. A week is enough to get your good review of it. Anything else, you would have to wait till like 6 months to see how it holds up to regular everyday conditions, and if it slows down, anything that happens like that. But we're not going to wait 6 months to review.
Right. If my iPhone 10 review came out 6 months after the phone came out, it would be almost useless to people.
No one would care about it because we would all be talking about the next one already.
Yeah. I guess the whole point of a review is to decide if it's worth buying or not. So the better the conditions of that embargo can be towards facilitating a correct answer of that question, the better, which is a long way of saying, let us really use it. It's a whole world out there. We have a whole Q&A coming up, and we'll talk more about, I'm sure, embargoes and like testing products and fun stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically it. Am I missing anything?
I don't know. I guess the only other thing I can say is, please, people, when we put an impressions out, please stop saying this is a terrible review and it's short. If it's a review, it'll say review in the title.
Specifically, almost every time. And if it's not, it will be in the reviews playlist. So if you're not sure if it's a review or not, if it's not in the reviews playlist, it's not a review. It's on the channel. It's it's in the middle of the homepage of the channel. There's a reviews playlist and an impressions playlist. If it's in the reviews playlist, it's a review. If it says impressions in the title, it's not a review.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. And so all this embargo stuff explains that a little better, why we do impressions and why we do reviews and why impressions aren't bad reviews. They're just impressions.
They're just first impressions.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back. We'll do some Q&A from Twitter about embargoes and all bunch of new tech. Stay tuned. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by LinkedIn. Hiring the right person takes time, but more often than not, you don't have a lot of time. Urgency can be your enemy when it comes to finding candidates that are truly meant for your business. That's why LinkedIn is the best place to post your job listings. LinkedIn Jobs screens candidates with the hard and soft skills that you and your business are looking for, so you can confidently find the right person and find them fast. LinkedIn looks beyond listed work skills at things like collaboration, creativity, and adaptability, so you can put your job posting in front of highly qualified candidates that fit your requirements to a T. That's how LinkedIn makes sure your job post is seen by people that you want to hire. So the people who have the skills, qualifications, and other interests to help your business grow. It's no wonder a person is hired every 8 seconds from LinkedIn, and why LinkedIn Jobs is the #1 hiring platform for delivering quality hires. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off Just visit linkedin.com/wave. Again, that's linkedin.com/wave to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by Honey. Giving holiday gifts is great, but overspending on those gifts is definitely not. So why spend more than you have to? Finding the lowest price is easy if you have Honey. Honey is a free browser extension that automatically finds the best promo codes wherever you shop online, whenever you shop online. So this means you always get the best deals without even trying on over 20,000 sites like Amazon, eBay, Expedia, Target, Best Buy, and more.
I actually started using Honey like a year ago. I basically trained myself every time I was in an online shopping cart to go to Google, search coupon code for whatever website I was buying from. Sometimes it worked. Half the times you just got a website with a ton of ads and no coupons that actually helped me at all. Honey definitely saved me a bunch of time finding deals, and at least is saving me time from trying to find a coupon code that doesn't exist.
Honey has found its over 10 million members, over $1 billion in savings, and Honey supports over 20,000 online stores. Honey also has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. So if you're buying gifts this holiday season, then you need Honey. It can help make sure you're getting the best price for whatever you're buying. It's free to use and installs in just 2 clicks. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/wave. That's joinhoney.com/wave. This episode of Waveform is brought to you by 1Password. Ever need to send an urgent email and need a sign-in quick, or forgot to order something and remembered on your way home, or even just sign into a website that you've not yet visited from your phone? Typing in your password every single time to do something just quick and simple is a pain. That's if you can even remember what your password is. 1Password remembers all of your passwords for you and makes it easy to log into websites in just a matter of seconds. Just use Face ID or scan your fingerprint and use your passwords. Having a unique password for every account means if someone gets the login information of one account, they're not able to use it to also access your email and bank information and social media accounts. 1Password is the most private, easy-to-use password manager. Once set up, you can use it on all your devices, so you'll always have your passwords with you wherever you are. It's kind of perfect because you literally only need to remember 1Password. Great name. And 1Password has 3 months free for Waveform listeners, so head over to onepassword.com/mkbhd to sign up. That's the number 1, password.com/mkbhd to make logging in simple and more secure. All right, welcome back. It's time for a little Q&A when we've asked on Twitter at WVFRM what you guys want to know. We'll talk embargoes for a little bit, I'm sure, but then all kinds of other tech, of course, naturally comes up on Twitter. So let's get into it. And so right at the top by Jeremy, I can pronounce that name. How many times do people catch you using a secret device out in the wild? So I guess like an unannounced phone.
Yeah.
Do we ever get caught using it? I think I'm pretty good about not showing what I'm using. And yeah,
it's usually you who's using the phone beforehand.
Right.
So that all relies on you. I definitely remember sometimes people like, oh, what phone are you using? And you're like,
yeah, I'll literally not answer. Yeah, you'll see. It's in my pocket.
And then so like that sometimes, I don't think I've ever seen somebody, and you would know this better, who's come up and been like, that's the new X.
Never happened.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and also the thing is I carry 2 phones, so if I'm using one phone that's under embargo and someone says, hey, what phone are you carrying right now? I'll pull out the other phone, the iPhone, and usually that's not a problem. So
yeah, I think the only phones are not a lot of them are super like unique that you can tell from far away and like be positive enough to go up to somebody you don't know and be like, is that this? I think the only thing I can think of is when iPhone 10 came out. It was when it was past embargo already, but people just weren't used to seeing it out in the wild, and they'd be like, oh, can I look at that real quick? Like, that's the new iPhone. I'm thinking of getting one. And
the hardest part about reviewing a smartphone specifically and trying to use it a lot before it's going to make a video about it is taking photos with it. So like going into New York City and like trying to take pictures and put it back away, or like taking pictures from a car or something like that. I think that's the time when maybe, I don't even know, but maybe people do look and notice the phone. And
because you're like holding it out in front
you're
of
like
you.
Holding it out in the air.
And you never use a case, so it's a lot more obvious.
True. I mean, usually when the phone's not out yet, there's no cases either.
True.
But I don't use a case, so that's also true. But I don't think that's really happened. I think I might have told this story before. I was reviewing a OnePlus phone, and I broke it before it came out. Did I tell that story before? I'll tell it again because it's pretty great. I was using it was back when I played for the Philly Phoenix, and I drove to practice, and my phone. There's this little like shelf in the trunk of the Model S where you can like put things and then like take stuff out your trunk, and I put the phone on that shelf and then like took things out my trunk and like bumped the shelf, and the phone slid and fell out of the trunk of the car and like landed on some concrete. And the phone wasn't out yet. Not only was the phone not out yet, but I hadn't shot any footage of the phone yet. So I had to go like real quick, ask them, hey, do you have another one that I could possibly use to make this video? Because it got interrupted. We'll put it that way. Yeah, I think that's about that.
Here's one. I don't know if you... Let's see if you have an answer for this. What's the hardest product you had to keep quiet before a review could go out?
The hardest product to keep quiet about before a review. I don't...
Luckily, most of them are only about a week.
Yeah, so. Usually it's not too bad. I kind of remember the... when I first saw the red hydrogen before it was even like a real thing. That was pretty crazy. And then I made a video and then got to share that. But that was pretty wild because that was like a world exclusive basically.
Yeah, and even that video, it didn't really show it. It was like your reaction.
Yeah, I could show the back of it and I couldn't show it on. So it was kind of an interesting like back and forth. Like, what do you want me to show, or what am I allowed to show? Because I'll just tell you what I want to put in the video and you can tell me if there's anything off limits. That was a sort of a unique conversation where there was no signed NDA. That was just like me and another guy who works for Red. You probably already know who I'm talking about, but yeah, that was an interesting one. Other than that, yeah, we don't really do anything too insane. It's gotten pretty formulaic with smartphones.
Yeah, I can think of something that's not, it wasn't an embargo, it wasn't a review or anything, but we had to keep quiet, which was when we first did our camera bracket test last year. Keeping those results were just like, it was tough because we didn't you can't show them till the video comes out or else the video is totally pointless. So like, but each week we would go through and we would see the results of everything and be like, most of it was, oh my God, the Pocophone beat something again. Holy, the Pocophone. And it was so much fun behind the scenes, and we could just like not share it with anyone. But then sharing it with everyone was so worth it.
Yeah.
Like seeing reactions of that was
that's
great.
That's so true. It was our own embargo.
Yeah.
Our own little embargo of when the Pocophone beat the iPhone 10 in the first round. But nobody tweet anything about this. This is incredible. Yeah, that was true. And you know what that also reminds me of is we have like stuff in the studio sometimes that's under embargo, and I have to make sure to like put it away or not leave it like right in front of the door. Because if anyone walks by, technically they can just walk in and like see whatever's in our studio. So that's another thing. We gotta
we talked about that before of like not putting it in video or like posts we make, but we also just have a glass door. So and like we're probably one of the more interesting looking studios on the floor, so people just look in all the time. And I don't know how much you could figure out, but if there was somebody who really knew what something was, they could probably zoom in through the door and take a picture of something.
Take one of those blurry cam photos. Yeah.
We like to hide it on the far end of the studio. Usually
2020, that'll end though. New studio, new space. Nothing leaks from that space. Oh, someone says, Pierce asks, what are you expecting for the Tesla pickup event? Which is, I think, next week at this time, by the time you're listening to this. And when I think about that, like this is one of those few, I'll call it a tech product, but one of those few tech products that really has not leaked at all in any way, other than intentional tweets by Elon, basically.
Yeah, Tesla does a great job at doing that.
And you know why?
Why?
It's because they own the entire, not the entire, but many, many, many parts of that. Like there will be no fully assembled Tesla truck anywhere outside of Tesla because they make it.
So you don't have third-party manufacturers.
Right. So
I don't know if that's third-party, but yeah.
Well, basically, like when Apple goes to Foxconn to build their millions of iPhones, that's thousands and thousands of employees that don't work for Apple seeing the iPhone, handling the iPhone, packaging the iPhone. Then it has to come back to Apple, right? Tesla Roadster 2020 did not leak at all because they don't have to take it outside of Tesla. They build a prototype in-house, they test it within their own walls, and no one outside of the company will see it. So the same thing with the pickup truck. Like no one outside of that, development team, basically, because they haven't manufactured it yet. They haven't like done, I don't know, parts requests. Like they make the batteries and everything.
Yeah.
The most anyone could know about the pickup truck is like, oh, they ordered windshield wiper actuators from Sony or whatever, because Sony makes everything. So yeah, I'm fascinated with the pickup truck event.
I'm excited to see it. All the renders look like too futuristic.
That's the thing. Yeah, he keeps calling it. The last thing he said was a Blade Runner, but what he called it, Cybertruck. He literally tweeted Cybertruck unveil. So yeah, all the renders are pretty wild, but that's just what they are. Is just like fan-made renders and people trying to use hints and things like that to assume what it might look like. But really, the design of this thing is a total mystery.
It's cool because like rumors and hints that turn into renders for phones usually wind up being very, very close because we've seen so many phones. We know design choices of companies, but this is a whole new space. So renders look completely different from other renders. And now like we're going to see a finished product that probably won't look anything like these insane, like 2050 looking video game trucks.
This is the first time Tesla's had a chance to really flex a new design language, I think, because we all know Model Y was going to look just like Model 3. And Model 3 has a lot of the same cues from Model S, which looks just like Model X, right? So they have the Roadster with some similar lines, and the semi-truck is, I guess, kind of different. But the crowd that would buy a pickup truck is the, like, exact opposite crowd that would buy a Tesla Model 3 in many cases, right?
I guess in terms of design, you can't really take the front of a sedan-like car and make it into a pickup truck. If anything, it would look like the X, I guess.
Maybe.
That's like the closest it could look like. I don't know if it will, but imagine a Model 3 on the front of a pickup truck. It just makes absolutely no sense.
Go watch Simone Giertz's video again of Truckla. Like, that's a pretty...
different.
It's a great project, but it's an awkward-looking car. Yeah. Like, that pickup truck is not something I don't think
awesome
people buy.
She got it looks like she's getting invited to the event.
I hope to see her there. Yeah, we hopefully will get footage of it as soon as it rolls out, and everyone will get their first impressions of it, but that is something that I'm excited for that hasn't leaked. I was also told... I'm taking delivery of my car this week, and I was told to wait until at least this event to see if anything got announced with Model S. I didn't wait. We'll see if I regret it. That event's next week.
100% will.
Probably
Here comes Plaid. Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming soon. So I got a question from Raphael who asks, how much or what kind of prep do you have to do before reviewing any tech products? Also, hello.
Hi.
What's up? So I mentioned earlier, I think I could probably review a smartphone in like 6 days. And that's because I've reviewed so many smartphones in the last 10 years that it's kind of, I feel like down to a science. And it's an evolving science because phones change, but like I know I have to test the camera. I got to use it every day, figure out what the battery life is like, get a good variety of sample size with what my screen on time is going to be. I got to do some side-by-sides if it's got some comparatives that I know it's going to be similar to. If there's a previous generation, I got to see how much better it's gotten. If there's new features, I got to test those, see if they're reliable, see if they're private or not. There's like a pretty solid list of things that I know I have to do. And then once I've done that, I pretty much know everything I need to know about this phone, and then just, do I like it or not? What's the price like? I think it takes me longer for non-smartphones because those are things that I go through this process with less often.
Yeah.
So when this Mac Pro comes out, that's going to be a longer review process. When the Pro Display XDR comes out, I mean, there's not much you need to talk about.
I guess
with
both of them, like, ultimately you're still using the same operating system, but something like a Windows laptop, that's tough to review, and people always want Windows laptop stuff, but that takes way more time because you use Mac OS
and I
for
like
everything.
I like to fully immerse myself in this like world of this product. So if I do get into fully reviewing something that's incompatible with the rest of the products in my life, it takes me longer to get into that and really review it. So yeah, smartphone, that would be the shortest time for me, 5 to 7 business days delivered. And I think the longest might be honestly a car, right? Because that's something you have for like many, many years, and you don't really know what you think of it until you've driven it for a month. But
that's something you want to last forever. And
so I don't know if I've ever really done a car review, because I've done like impressions of cars and like autofocus. We get to talk about parts of cars, but I've never really reviewed a car. And I think things like Windows laptops, you get the occasional like computer that's not something that I would typically use,
or like a boosted board, which is like we don't use them all the time. It's really fun to play around with.
Some things have...
I don't know how this is going to act as an actual mode of transportation.
Yeah, really nuanced feature sets that you figure out when you use them, like, over and over every day. So, yeah. Rudy asks, how often do you get approached to test a product without payment? Rudy, I have some news. I have never accepted payment to review a product in the 1,000+ videos I've made on this channel. And I think a really good disclaimer that I see another YouTuber, Mr. Mobile, make is, I mean, he says it every time, maybe he doesn't have to, but it's good that no company that sends him a product to review ever gets any sort of review copy or editing ability of that review before it comes out. And I thought that was fascinating when I first started hearing him say that, because I was like, well, of course they don't. That wouldn't make it a very good review if you let them change what you say or pay you in any way. So they're finding out what you say when everyone else finds out. But turns out he's saying that because some other reviews do that. Some other reviews actually let the company edit what they say. Some others are sponsored by the company that makes the product that's being reviewed. There's all sorts of other things that get into a gray area that I feel like we've totally avoided. Like, we just don't do sponsored reviews at all.
We try and keep as little conflict of interest as, hopefully zero conflict of interest. If it's a product in a space that we review, we probably won't accept payment from you. If for some reason it's in a whole nother category and it's like a video we can just talk about some features on, we'll think about it. But you guys have watched the channel for a long time. We very rarely do sponsored stuff.
Another thing some people like to ask about is, like, an event. Maybe there's an event in California or something, or they want to bring you out there to see a new product. Do they pay for your flight or your hotel, your travel or anything? Because they do that with some people. Some other, I guess there's YouTubers and journalists who will accept, like, travel payments or whatever. I also don't do that. So not that it matters and not that it would change the way I talk about a product. But I also we always book our own flights and we'll fly out and lose money every time. But that's just kind of the way it goes.
We have to make sure the hotel is as close to In-N-Out as possible. And
exactly.
They just don't provide with...
They're never willing to work with us on that. No, we usually get close to an airport and In-N-Out and travel pretty light. So, yeah, that's how it goes. I have one from Neil. That's a question for Andrew.
Okay.
Have you had a look at the new Google Stadia coming out? And if so, what do you think about it?
So I have a couple thoughts on Stadia. I'm really not that excited about it because I think latency is going to be a way bigger issue than they think it's going to be, or than they think it isn't going to be an issue with. I think it's like 60 milliseconds is the estimated latency on it, which is not good. That's really bad.
That's a lot,
I think. Yeah. Most like gaming monitors are like a 1 ms delay, and like a good ping right now is like 20 to 60. So to think about that, you're adding that on top of your ping, or is it your ping? I don't know. Either way, that looks bad. One of the ways they're trying to fix the solution is by some sort of AI that's learning how you play, so it can guess the buttons you're going to press before you press them.
Yeah.
I think I made a tweet about this a little while ago. It's like, if it's just going to predict how I'm going to play, at what point is it going to get so bad that I'm just not even playing anymore and it's turning into like choose your own story adventure, or I'm just watching Netflix? Like, video games have just turned into a movie at this point.
You just look at the keyboard and it just aims a headshot for you.
That's actually this like big issue in the gaming world, is it's much harder to aim on controllers. So a lot of console-based shooters have a little bit of an aim assist.
Okay.
So like, because there's no way you can rotate someone's like crosshair on a controller as fast as you can like whip a mouse across a trackpad or a mouse pad. Sorry.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of aim assist. So what people have been doing is they've been finding ways to plug a keyboard and mouse into a console. So now they're getting the advantage of keyboard mouse with added aim assist.
Wow.
I think Destiny 2 like had a huge issue with that when they first released, and that's a big issue. I think the theory behind all of it is really great, kind of like NVIDIA GeForce Now, where it's like you can play these high demanding games when you don't have the resources to put into a computer or a console that can run it.
That's the dream.
Yeah, that ultimately what they're doing is great for gaming, and I think for a lot of single player games it'll be great, but I'm the kind of person who mostly only plays multiplayer games, and latency just absolutely kills the experience for competitive multiplayer.
Okay, competitive I think is the key word. I think this is going to be, this has the potential in a dream world to be awesome for a lot of casual gamers who don't necessarily care as much about the latency, might not even notice any delay, but still at the higher end in competitive gaming, you're going to see people who just don't use Stadia. But yeah, I think in a dream world, they're aiming for like the middle 70% of people who are just playing whatever.
So I'm not the best person to ask if I'm excited. I think it'll be great. That's what I should say.
All right.
Not for me. It'll be great. All right. We're going to do last question here. Which 2 flagships of this year would you want to combine to give rise to the best phone you could possibly have right now?
2 flagships. So I think about this all the time, but for me, I think it would be somewhere between... I think the easy answer is, hold on. I could go iPhone 11 Pro and Pixel 4, but I'm debating if I want to go. Yeah, I'm going to go iPhone 11 Pro and OnePlus 7 Pro.
And then tell us what you want from each
Right.
of them.
Okay, so I want the camera from the iPhone 11 Pro because I can't get the Pixel. Actually, okay, here's what I'll do.
Sure.
Take the OnePlus 7 Pro, everything about it. But then replace that 90 hertz curved screen with a 90 hertz flat screen. Right, so I'm like combining the refresh rate of the OnePlus.
Okay,
with
you're
the
really
flatness.
combining.
Yeah, I'm like stirring the pot, but I want the flat screen, and the iPhone kind of does that for me. But still 90 hertz, 1440p OLED from the OnePlus 7 Pro. Then give me the camera set and that image processing pipeline from the iPhone. Replace the whole camera set from the OnePlus 7 Pro.
Okay.
Then give me the battery life and optimization from the iPhone, but the fast charging of the OnePlus 7 Pro, and that's it.
Do you still get wireless charging from?
Yeah, sure. I kind of got used to just having fast charging and using it all the time. But yes, you're right. iPhone does have wireless charging, so toss that in there too. Yeah.
All right. I think I'm gonna go a little different route, and I'm just going. Okay, we've talked about this before. Pixel 4 had a lot of comments about it. I actually had an issue with my 3.
Yeah.
So I jumped onto the 4 for now. I'm trying it out. It's all right.
That's a lukewarm take.
Yeah. I really I was very excited for it. And there's a lot of things I like about it. There's still just battery issues and just general like specs that aren't.
Have you
really
forced 90
great.
hertz? Probably not.
I haven't
Okay.
yet. I probably could because I haven't really spent that. That's the thing. I haven't spent too many days where I haven't been at my desk at some point where it can get thrown on a charger and be okay. So battery life hasn't been an issue for me yet. We'll find that out soon because I'm going on my honeymoon in like 2 weeks where I will have very little time to charge it. Yeah. So, but other than that, if I had to combine another phone with the, I'm doing this in the sense of I'm trying to make the Pixel 4 as good as possible.
Okay.
I'm going to take everything about the Pixel 4, its software, its camera. You know, I can force 90 hertz if I do this, and I'm going to take the ROG Phone 2 specs and just throw it into the Pixel. So now I have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery.
You have a 6,000 milliamp hour battery now. Yeah.
Oh my god, sorry, that's insane. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, and then 12 gigs of RAM or something.
You get the new chip. You get the A55 Plus that the Pixel doesn't have. You get 12 gigs of RAM. You get UFS 3.0 storage, which the Pixel doesn't have. You get the huge battery, which the Pixel doesn't have. You get front-facing speakers if you want them.
Yeah, like I would be okay with
I'm okay
narrowing
with
this bezel down a little bit and having the little more of a bottom bezel. I still really, the forehead looks so much worse. I put a case on mine. Like, do you see this?
It's even more exaggerated.
Yeah, the forehead looks so bad when you're adding another like couple millimeters of top
black
from
rubber.
the case. Still not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
But as far as using the phone, like gestures I've gotten kind of used to. Swiping from the side, I'm still not a huge fan of. I've found like swiping through an album or like Instagram stories.
Yeah.
I used to swipe from the side, so now every time I just go
back
backwards
by accident
instead of going through a story.
They really need to PSA Google. They really need to customize that gesture to be only left or only right because I will swipe through albums and accidentally swipe from the edge and go back to. I do the same thing.
But other than that,
120 hertz.
Yeah, 120 hertz. Oh yeah, I wouldn't even have to force 90 hertz with the big battery because I would just have
lock it at 120.
Hertz.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that move.
Cool.
Keep it the same size though.
It's just
it's gonna be thick.
The steroid Pixel 4,
juiced up Pixel 4. I like it. Okay. All right. I think that's a good place to end it. We've got a bunch of talk. We got the embargoes. We got the Q&A. We got our new tech. We got our content of the week and new channel shout-outs. The show notes will be full with anything you want to check out for what we talked about this week. I'm sure there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stuff.
There's some nuggets for sure. That's been it. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Waveform was made in partnership with Studio 71, and our intro-outro music was created by Cameron Barlow.
Guys, I'll make this quick so you can get back to your murder podcast or whatever you're listening to. I'm Drama from Group Chat, the #1 podcast in the world. We make cool people smarter and smart people cooler. Seriously. Our topics range from Kim Kardashian to Jeff Bezos to Donald Trump and everything in between. If you want to be entertained and educated, check us out right now in the podcast app. Just search Group Chat. By the way, the ex-boyfriend isn't the killer. It's her best friend who is. Sorry for ruining that. But now that you have a little bit more time, give us a listen.